practices are, and we can make them aware of, especially when you're in a group, here's what your peers are doing. Here's what we're seeing as industry trends. And when I'm meeting with folks, and I'll just make one more statement, when I'm meeting with folks, we try to get down to the geographic region so I can talk to a provider in California and say, yeah, your staff costs in a dental practice should be 52 to 53%. That same provider in Illinois or North Dakota is probably 48 to 49%, fully loaded. It really gets down to those nuances because of reimbursement compression and, of course, all the other aspects of, cost and, space and all the fun stuff.
So now I want to see. I want you to jump into the legal side for a second, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
I want to know what legal problems you see, because you guys are on the front line. You see it before we do, regarding
Oh my
KPI
gosh.
problems, regarding disputes, partner claims, compensation structures. What do you see how to avoid that on the financial side?
Man, I will tell you, and I'm sure you're seeing, and I know you are, we're talked about it. This year has been one for partner disputes.
Oh,
Anytime, anytime, look, anytime the world and the economy change a little bit, there's infighting, right? If there's not structure to the business, you start pointing fingers. And our valuation litigation team is probably dealing with a new case a week right now in the healthcare space that I know of, beyond the other 9,000 folks at CLA. So it really is an interesting time. But, back to KPIs, if there's one expectation where one provider, and we'll pick ourselves, we'll say the lawyer, you have
hey,
one
hey,
other
hey, hey,
partner
hey.
that
Whoa, whoa,
you have
whoa,
one
whoa.
other partner that's doing, 30% of the billing and you're doing 70% of the billing and you're bringing
Yep.
in all the new customers and all that. At some point, there's got to be a conversation to say, hey, started noticing this trend. I'm carrying the weight. What's going on? Or one person's responsible for more, and we see that a lot where it's the partner in charge or whatever it may be, and they're doing everything. They're managing HR, they're managing the accounting relationship, the vendor, and the other providers just showing up to do their job. There's those
Yeah.
conversations that you got to have early, have the arguments, have the discussions, have the hard conversations early of what are we expecting from each other for partners, and I continue to have those.
I want to jump into the optometry area and
Okay.
ophthalmology area a little bit. So I know you're very, very big in that, and it's an amazing and booming area. So
It
talk to
is.
me about, sort of type of splits where you got your culture and exams per day, and you got your remakes, you got your contacts lens annual supply chain issues. Then you've
All
got,
of it.
your retention, and everyone's moving everywhere, and recalls. So what do you see on the optometry and even ophthalmology side as far as those problems go?
I mean, all the above. And of course, you get into stale inventory and you get into the changing dynamics of people's behaviors and, new trends and new fashion. And of course, dated practices, meaning, I grew up in an optometry practice. My mother was a nurse for 29 years in the space. And I went to the clinic a lot, and she was with the same provider for the whole time. But I went to the clinic a
Now
lot
that
and
I
just,
didn't know. That's pretty. So you
yeah.
got firsthand knowledge of this stuff.
Yeah,
That's
no, it was fun, but I will tell you, I had been up to that practice, and again, she's retired 6 years ago. The practice still looks the same.
wow,
Yeah, so
wow.
you do have a lot of those conversations, if you will, where okay, we've got to continue on their trend, we got to be competitive. I take this,
Wow.
especially in the optometry space, was you're dealing with inventory, you're dealing with management of cost of goods sold and retail, and of course on the
Tariffs,
oh my
tariffs.
gosh, a whole new world right now. And we have a tariff consultant that we work with quite a bit who's a dear friend of mine, and she is beyond
Wow.
busy, as you can imagine. But yeah, how are you passing those tariff costs along? How are you passing the inventory that you already have? Do you throw a tariff on top of that to put a buffer in place? Do you not? Do you work through it? Do you change your supplier? A lot of these manufacturers are now trying to take, if they're, in Asia or Europe where it's maybe a little higher tariff, they're trying to put it through Mexico and bring it up. So maybe it's a little different, or, through Virgin Islands. So there's a
Did
lot of
I hear a
things that are going
stat
on.
that 95% of all contact lenses are made in China?
Yeah,
It, did-
that's what
I-
I've heard as
that
well. I've
that's
heard
I
that as
think
well. I haven't
yeah.
gone to the shop and seen it, but I heard that as well.
Can you call your mom while we're on the podcast here?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, But no, when you look at all of these factors coming into it, you have rising staffing costs, you have insurance